Look closely at this frame. This is Elm Street in a suburb of Atlanta. A quiet afternoon, Saturday. You can see the wind rustling the oak branches. You see a blue sedan drive by. But I want you to focus all your attention on the bottom right corner of the screen. There she is, an elderly African-American woman in her best lemon yellow Sunday suit. On her head, a wide-brimmed hat. In her hands, she clutches a gift box wrapped in shiny purple paper with a massive silver bow. Remember that box. Remember that bow. Because this is the last time the world sees Hattie Mae Sutton alive. What you are seeing now are the last 14 minutes of her freedom. In 900 seconds, this woman, who lived through segregation, raised 3 children and 7 grandchildren, will vanish from the face of the earth as if she never existed. But the question isn't what happened. We know what happened. The question is why the person watching her at this exact moment decided that her life was worth less than his twisted fantasy of order. Hattie Mae Sutton, 74 years old. In the neighborhood, they called her Mama Hattie. You know those people who are the glue for the entire community? If your child got sick, you went to Hattie for herbs and broth. If you were short on cash before payday, Hattie always found a few dollars in her old cookie jar. She wasn't just a grandmother, she was history. She moved to this neighborhood 40 years ago, back when black families were just starting to be allowed to buy houses here. She survived the side glances, the cross burnings in the 70s, the economic crises. She endured. She was a pillar. That day, October 14th, was her great-granddaughter, little Maya's birthday. 6 years old. Hattie had been preparing for this for a week. Inside that purple box lay a handmade doll that Hattie stitched herself, adding patches from dresses her own mother had worn. It wasn't just a gift. It was a legacy, passing memory from generation to generation. Hattie refused to let her son give her a ride. "My legs still work," she said on the phone at 1:50 p.m., "and the weather is too nice to sit in a metal box." She felt safe. This was her neighborhood. She knew every crack in the pavement. She said hello to everyone who walked by. She believed in people. She believed that the respect she gave to the world would protect her. That was her fatal mistake. Because in the world we live in, respect is not currency for predators. Hattie walks out of the camera's view. Camera number 1. She walks with a confident stride, clutching the gift to her chest. She is smiling. She is thinking about cake and candles. She doesn't know that behind the fence of house number 412, she is already being watched. A pair of eyes full of cold, calculated hatred. She thinks she is walking to a celebration of life. In reality, she is walking to her own execution. Time is a strange thing. For the Sutton family, time stopped at exactly 3 p.m. The party has started. Kids are running in the backyard. The grill is fired up. But the honorary chair at the head of the table is empty. Hattie's son, Marcus, looks at his watch. "Mama's never late," he tells his wife. She shows up 10 minutes early to fix the napkins. At first, it was mild irritation. Then, worry. At 3:30 p.m., Marcus gets in his car to drive her route. The distance from her house to his is only a 12-minute walk. 3 blocks, a straight line. He drives slowly. He scans the sidewalks. He expects to see her bright yellow suit. Maybe she sat on a bench to rest. Maybe she met an old friend and got to talking. He reaches her house. The door is locked. Inside, it smells of lavender and cleanliness. On the table, half-drunk tea. Everything looks as if she stepped out for a minute, but Hattie is nowhere to be found. 16:45, the first call to 911. The operator is calm, too calm. Sir, how old is your mother? 74. Perhaps she just got lost. Does she have dementia? Marcus grips the phone until his knuckles turn white. My mother's mind is sharper than yours or mine. She was walking to her great-granddaughter's birthday. She wouldn't forget. But the police don't rush. You know the statistics. When an elderly black woman goes missing, the protocol often kicks in with a delay. Old folks get lost. She'll come back. The presumption of non-intervention kicks in. A patrol car is sent only 2 hours later. Neighbors start coming out into the street. The community mobilizes faster than the police. People check their yards, garages. Mama Hattie, Hattie, shouts echo through the neighborhood, drowning out the music. Someone says they saw a woman who looked like her near the bus stop. Someone claims they saw her getting into a black SUV. A theory emerges. Robbery. Someone wanted the gift or her purse. Maybe out-of-towners. The neighborhood is changing. Lots of strange faces. There's construction on the next street. Transient workers are there. Suspicion falls on them. Marcus is desperate. He stands in the middle of the street where his mother should have walked. He looks at a house with a perfectly manicured lawn. House number 4-12. A man walks out. White, around 50. Glasses, work overalls. He looks concerned. Marcus, what happened? I hear shouting. Mama's missing, Mr. Silas. She was walking past your house. Did you see her? The man takes off his glasses, wipes them with the edge of his shirt. His face expresses sincere empathy. Oh God, that's terrible. No, I was in the garage working with wood. I had music playing. Damn, if only I had looked out. Marcus, if you need help looking, just say the word. I have a flashlight. Marcus nods, thanking the neighbor. Thanks, Silas. You're a good man. Marcus turns away, continuing to scan the street. He thinks the enemy is somewhere far away, that the enemy is an unknown thug, a kidnapper, an accident. Everyone thought Hattie was the victim of a random crime or her own memory. They were wrong. The devil didn't come from another city. The devil wasn't a stranger. The devil was standing right in front of Marcus, offering him a flashlight to search for the body he had just hidden himself. 24 hours have passed. Hattie is gone. The police finally start working in earnest. A silver alert is declared, but precious time has been lost. Detectives check the cameras, that same footage we started with. Hattie enters a dead zone. This is a stretch of street only 50 meters long that isn't covered by the cameras of any house. In this dead zone, there are only 3 houses. The Johnson family's house, they were at church, an abandoned house listed for sale, and Arthur Silas's house. Police interview Silas. He lets them in without a warrant. Look at whatever you want, officers. I want to help. The house is perfectly clean. It smells of sawdust and bleach. Silas explains, I do woodworking. I like things clean. Alibi. He was home alone, but his phone was active. He was watching YouTube videos. It seems clean. The detectives leave. They have no grounds to detain the nice neighbor who has lived here for 15 years and pays his taxes on time. The family is in despair. Marcus isn't sleeping. He, along with his nephews, starts his own digital investigation. They hack into Hattie's iCloud. She wasn't very tech savvy, but the grandkids gave her an iPhone and set up Find My, so they'd know where she was. The phone's last ping. At 14:18, the phone stopped transmitting a signal. The battery didn't die. It was at 80%. The phone was manually turned off or destroyed. But where was the last ping? GPS accuracy is within 10 meters. The dot on the map freezes right on the edge of Silas's property, not on the sidewalk, but 3 meters inside his territory, closer to the garage. Marcus looks at the map. His blood runs cold. He remembers his mother's comments over the last month. That's Silas. He's gotten strange, she said at Sunday dinner. He stopped saying hello. He looks at us like we're trash. The wind blew onto his lawn. Back then, Marcus brushed it off. Mom, he's just a grumpy old man. But now, details surface. Neighbors recall. Silas frequently complained to the city council about loud music from African American neighbors, about the grass being the wrong variety, about how the neighborhood is changing for the worse. These weren't just complaints. This was a systemic, quiet war. Hattie's granddaughter finds a deleted post on the local Nextdoor forum. User Patriot 1960 wrote a month ago, "These people don't understand nice words. They think they own the streets. They need to be shown their place. One day, the old methods will return." The user's IP address leads to the provider servicing that specific block. Marcus realizes his mother didn't wander off. She was taken, and she might still be there, just 50 meters from where they are standing right now. Paranoia blankets the neighborhood. Every glance at Silas's house causes a shiver. The windows are draped, but it feels like the curtains are moving slightly. He's in there. He's watching the search party, and he is probably smiling. Who is Arthur Silas? To the world, he is a former accountant who retired early, a man who always trims his bushes with a ruler. No criminal record, not even a speeding ticket. The perfect citizen, an invisible man. But if we look deeper, we see an abyss. The investigation, which under pressure from the family and press, finally focuses on Silas, starts digging into his past. It turns out 40 years ago, when Silas was a teenager, his family lived in a neighborhood that turned black. They sold their house for pennies and left. For his father, it was a tragedy. For young Arthur, it became a trauma that festered for decades. He isn't just a racist shouting slurs. He is an ideological fanatic. He believes in the Great Replacement. He considers himself a soldier on the front lines of a war no one else sees. Buying a house on this street wasn't an accident. He wanted to hold the line. Investigators find security footage from a hardware store. 3 days before Hattie disappeared, Silas bought heavy-duty plastic zip ties, tarp, and 20 liters of concentrated pool cleaning acid, even though he doesn't own a pool. He was preparing. This wasn't a spontaneous decision. He didn't choose Hattie because she was weak. He chose her because she was strong. She was the heart of the neighborhood. Killing her meant killing the spirit of the entire community. 1414. Reconstruction of events. Hattie walks past his house. Silas calls out to her. Perhaps he said, "Mrs. Sutton, I have a package for your son." The mailman made a mistake. He used her kindness against her. Her upbringing wouldn't allow her to ignore a neighbor. She takes a step onto his walkway, a step onto his territory. The second she crosses that invisible line, the trap snaps shut. Silas drags her into the garage. It likely took less than 10 seconds. No scream, no noise, only the hat fallen on the grass, which he picked up immediately. And then he walks out to Marcus with a flashlight. Imagine the level of cold-bloodedness. You have a bound woman lying in your garage. The whole town is looking for her, and you look her son in the eye and offer help. This isn't insanity. This is absolute distilled evil. Evil that is confident in its impunity, because for his whole life, the system has protected men like him. He thought he was smarter than everyone. He thought the police wouldn't try too hard for just another missing black woman. That was his calculation, and that calculation almost worked. A search warrant is obtained based on the hardware store receipt and the digital footprint. October 16th, 5:00 a.m. The tactical team breaches the door of House 412. The house is quiet. Silas is sitting in the kitchen. He's drinking coffee. A revolver lies on the table in front of him, but he doesn't reach for it. He looks at the officers storming in with an expression of disgusted superiority. "You broke my lock," he says calmly. "Who is going to pay for that?" Officers go down to the basement connected to the garage. There, behind a fake wall where tools were stored, they find a room. The smell of chlorine hits their noses so hard that the officers' eyes water. In the middle of the room, on the concrete floor, they find the purple box. It's open. The handmade doll lies nearby, torn to pieces. It was an act of symbolic violence. He wants to destroy not just Hattie, but her great-granddaughter's future. Hattie herself is found in the far corner, covered by a tarp. I won't describe the details, out of respect for the family. I will say only this. She fought. Silas's skin was found under Hattie's fingernails until the very end, even in the face of inevitable death. This woman did not give up. She left the key to convicting her killer on her fingertips. On the basement wall, police find a calendar. The date, October 14th, is circled in red marker, and the caption, "Cleansing Day." This proves premeditation. This wasn't a dispute. This was an execution. When Silas is led out in handcuffs, a crowd has already gathered in the street. Marcus stands in the front row. Silas walks past him. He doesn't lower his head. He smiles that same neighborly smile. "I was just taking out the trash, Marcus," he whispers as he passes. The crowd erupts. Police have to hold people back to keep them from tearing him apart. Pain and rage merge into a single scream. It is a scream not just for Hattie. It is the scream of generations who have watched their loved ones be taken by people with kind faces. The trial was swift. DNA under the fingernails, murder weapons, diaries with racist manifestos. The evidence was irrefutable. The defense tried to play the insanity card, but the psychiatrist was adamant. Arthur Silas is a sociopath, but he was perfectly aware of his actions. He knew it was evil, and he enjoyed it. Verdict: life imprisonment without the possibility of parole, plus 30 years for a hate crime enhancement. When the sentence was read, Silas yawned. But the story doesn't end there. The death of Hattie Mae Sutton changed everything. The illusion of safety in the suburbs collapsed. Volunteer patrols began to form in the neighborhood. People stopped letting children play outside alone. That porch culture the African American communities of the South were so proud of took a hit. Now every white neighbor walking by is viewed with suspicion. House 412 was demolished. In its place, the Hattie Sutton Memorial Garden was planted. They planted yellow roses, the color of her suit on that fateful day. We want to believe that monsters look like monsters, that they have horns, fangs, or scars. But the truth is, a monster might be mowing the lawn next to you. A monster might wave to you when you pick up your mail. Hattie Mae Sutton didn't die because she was careless. She died because her heart was too big for this cruel world. She believed in the humanity of her neighbor. This story is a warning. Trust is beautiful, but self-preservation is a necessity. Systemic racism isn't always loud marches or police brutality on camera. Sometimes it's a quiet neighbor hoarding hatred for decades, waiting for the moment you relax. If you feel something is wrong, don't ignore it. If a neighbor watches you for too long, if you feel a chill in their politeness, don't write it off as paranoia. Run, call, scream. Hattie Mae Sutton deserved to make it to that birthday party. She deserved to give that doll. She deserved to go home. Let us remember her name, and let us never forget the price she paid to finally open our eyes.